Welcome to Heat, Hope, and Hard Times, the podcast where the ring is more than a ring. In professional wrestling, we see heroes rise, villains fall, and stories told through sweat, struggle, and sacrifice. But beyond the pyrotechnics and promos are real-life lessons about resilience, identity, failure, and growth. Each episode, we break down moments from wrestling, classic matches, unforgettable characters, and behind-the-scenes journeys, and connect them to the challenges we face in everyday life. Because whether you're fighting for a championship or just trying to get through the week, the lessons are the same. Take the heat, hold on to hope, and survive the hard times.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Heat, Hope, and Hard Times podcast. I am your host, Kyle, the High Five Guy. You all know me by now. But more importantly, this is one interview that I have been dying to get, waiting to get ever since I saw this guy first perform live. Spencer Slade. The name, if you don't know it, I promise you, you will know it by the end of this. He's sitting there with the lovely junior world heavyweight title on his shoulder. Smart man, smart man. Spencer is an absolute killer in the NWA. He is also a 3LW alumni. That's where I first started to see him at. And he's a rock star. We're going to get right into it. So, Spencer, hit us. Give the fans a little bit of a history of your background.
Absolutely. I'm Spencer Slade. As you can see, I call myself the submission, the suplex machine. And I've always been an athlete my entire life. I'm sure, as you can tell, whether it's been the great sport of amateur wrestling, football, all the way up to bodybuilding and working out. I'm thinking when you see me, you can kind of already guess what my life story is, what I do. And really, the only thing you need to know about me is professional wrestling is what I eat, breathe, and sleep. It's the only thing that I think about when I wake up in the morning and when I go to bed at night.
That perfectly done. That was perfectly done. I love it. Yeah. So first, yes, 100%. I mean, I could tell the second you walked out of the curtain, you have that amateur wrestling background. I have that background. I look nothing like you. But Bill Bain and I talked about it on his episode with me, where we commented, like, when you think of a pro wrestler, what a pro wrestler should look like, the image that it conjures up, you're it. I mean, as soon as you walked out of the curtain, my jaw dropped and went, oh, this is it. This is it. Since we have the amateur wrestling background in common, tell us about your amateur background.
Yeah, you know what? I solely got into that almost by accident because I thought it was pro wrestling when I was a kid, right? Because I started watching wrestling about 2003, so about WrestleMania 19. That was the first match I'd ever seen. Kurt and Brock, right? I was a kid, and that's why I fell in love with wrestling. And then I realized that both of those guys were what? They were accomplished amateur wrestlers. So that's what I thought I had to do to be a wrestler. And, it always starts out, right? You go to your first amateur wrestling practice, and what happens? There's no ring. You don't So then, it really taught me everything you need to know, right? Hard work, training hard by yourself. Nobody out there can do it for you but you. And I think that's really what instilled all those hard character traits into me. It got me into it allowed me just to develop like an insane work ethic, if you know what I mean. Just like almost to the point where you have a chip on your shoulder for everything. I mean, it just turns you into this competitive asshole where you just want to win at everything. It could be a damn spelling bee or a gym class or just with your buddies. You just want to be the guy who wins. Then there's nothing better like that. And I did very well at that all throughout middle school, high school, and then I got into. I also played football as well, but football is what I ultimately ended up choosing to pursue in college. I can't really do both in college, so I kind of had to make that decision. I knew I wasn't going to be an Olympic gold medalist because once again, that really wasn't my goal, and also too, there's only one Kurt Angle in this world, right?
That's true. That's damn true.
As you said, damn true. You just said it, right? And then I eventually got into wrestling, but I would say that, playing sports like that is just is what really allows you to have a natural transition into pro wrestling.
It, man, and for those of you who don't know, Spencer is a PA boy, so hearing the name Kurt Angle always conjures up some good feelings. Yeah, it's as soon as you mentioned Kurt and Brock at WrestleMania 19, everybody's going to sit there and think of the shooting star that Brock knocked himself out on and almost broke his neck.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's just jump right into it. Right? You have a hearing impairment, correct?
Absolutely.
Hit us. Talk about it.
Yep, this is where I'm going to give you the entire motivational speech that I'm known for, right? Except I like being the heel of the bad guy, so sometimes I hate having to do this because I'm the biggest baby face in the world, right? But yeah, so obviously people, as you can know, I was born with a hearing disability, about like borderline deaf. All that means is that I basically cannot hear without my hearing aids in. Luckily for me, I always had good speech. I didn't lose my speech like a lot of deaf people do, unfortunately. And this goes back to my life story about pro wrestling, right? I was that scrawny, small, hearing impaired kid who always got picked on, right? Boys would pick on me, girls. I mean, I was just a scrawny kid, right? And on top of that, I was telling everybody that I was going to be a world champion pro wrestler. So you could imagine, what people thought, that, oh, you'll never do this, you'll never do that. But pro wrestling, I credit pro wrestling to saving my life at 9 years old, just because I had so much depression. I had no self confidence, no self esteem whatsoever. I just did not believe in myself. But for whatever reason, when I watched pro wrestling, it was the only thing that made me feel good. And pro wrestling just allowed me to just not in a revengeful way, but just allowed me to really express myself through athletics. So then that's why I played as many sports as I could, because I just loved whipping ass in whatever sport it was. That just made me feel good. And then it got me into working out, building my body up, wanting to look like all the wrestlers on TV. So my life story, being hearing impaired, it really comes down to just having a huge chip on your shoulder and just really believing in yourself. But luckily for me, pro wrestling was that thing that just allowed me to just push myself to be the best athlete, student, wrestler, person I could be.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, obviously, I don't have a hearing impairment, but I definitely relate to that feeling.
Yeah.
So let's dive a little deeper on the pro wrestling aspect of it. What do you think it was with the business that resonated so much with you?
I think it was just I think was it's cliche. Everybody said that the larger than life personalities, because as a kid, when you watch that, um, in my head, I'm like, that's an alpha male. That is what, if God were to create me, that's what I want to look like. I want to look like Kurt. I want to look like Brock. And I think just almost that almost like that role model, even though you don't know them personally, right? But there's that, you just look at somebody like, that's it. They're badass. That's what I want to be. I think that's really what caught me at pro wrestling, is just that larger than life alpha male vibe that you kind of get off of it.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I mean, granted, I don't think anybody in this world will ever be able to look like Brock. I mean, I followed Brock before he got into pro wrestling, and he would step out on the mat for his NCAA matches, and I'd just be like, as a kid, I mean, I'm 38.
Yeah.
I was like, this is unbelievable. Like nobody should look like this. I mean, he's still a freaking giant. Oh my God. What? You spent a lot of time on the indies.
Absolutely. Yes.
You have made your way all the way up to what I consider one of the top indie promotions in the NWA. Definitely one of the most historic in the entire wrestling business.
Absolutely.
What made you? Yeah, I'll take it this way. So you recently just re-signed with NWA.
Absolutely.
What made you re-sign instead of going where, quite frankly, I think everybody that sees you knows you're going to end up?
You are 100% right, my friend. number one, I tell people pro wrestling's a business, right? You have your end goal, which is the biggest company you want to get to, but you unfortunately can't go there if they don't want you yet. You can only go there when they need you. I've already been told that they want me, but when they need you, that's when they will make it happen. And really, for me, I stress it. Pro wrestling's a journey, man. It's not about how soon you get to the big stage. It's about when you get to the big stage at the right time. And for me, that's kind of the reason why I decided to resign at the NWA. Because number one, Billy Corgan, he kind of gave me an offer that I kind of really couldn't refuse at my life right now. I can't really refuse this offer. No other major wrestling company offered me something as good as the NWA. So that's the short answer to your question, right? But really, number two, it's just in pro wrestling, you have to stand out. Okay, everybody watches the big companies, right? WWE, AEW, right? But these companies have huge rosters. You don't even see or even hear of three-quarters of the people. You only see the top guys. So all these other people that you see there, yeah, might be in a big company, but they ain't. But they're not featured. They're not standing out. Whereas I have a chance to stand out on one of like the four major companies, the NWA, where I already have a singles championship. I'm already part of this huge group now called the Federation of Champions. So in my mind, I'm in a great spot to where I can stand out in the wrestling, in the wrestling bubble and work my way these next 2 years to being at the top guy of the NWA. And in about 2 years from now, I think I'll have myself in a great situation to where one of those bigger companies would love to, would love to pursue me. But short answer to your question, it's just what I like Billy's vision. He loves me. He gave me something I couldn't refuse, and that's why I resigned.
That right there is so just drastically different of an answer than I've heard anybody give me, whether it's on the podcast or just shooting the shit with somebody at 3LW, or I mean, I say involved. I use that very loosely. I've just been a diehard fan my whole life. But
Awesome.
I've built a lot of really good relationships. I always tell the story, Ricardo, Jesus. When I hit my lowest low with my addiction, it was him who my girlfriend called, and he stayed at my house till 2 a.m. until he got me into rehab. And so I'd like to consider myself having a little bit more knowledge and connections in the business than most. But when I've asked that question before, it's never, it's when they need me. I want to make sure I'm ready for when they need me. I want to be the best here and then go. I never get that response. It's always 100%. Oh yeah, that's the goal. I'm going to go. The second they call me, I'm going, blah, blah, blah. So it's awesome to hear somebody that actually has that business mindset. Like, no, I want to go when I know I'm going to kick the shit out of that place. So good for you.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And it goes back to, you know, the great thing about me is like when I do all these indie shows, right? I get a chance to talk to all these young upcoming guys because most of these guys are what you call, unsigned indie talent, right? They're just guys grinding on the indies that are trying to get to the where they want to go. And what does everybody want to go to? WWE or AEW? But what they realize is I hate to say it, but you're not going to go there. You have to go somewhere else, like a MLW, a NWA, a TNA first to get there. It's just you gotta be realistic, man. Unless if you are Brock Lesnar, WWE's going, which I don't think anybody is, right? But it's going back to that business, like you said, Jesus, right? I've gotten to see Jesus. He's probably the best businessman in independent wrestling. I don't think anybody ever
Agreed.
runs an indie company better than him. I have yet to see it. But it's a business, so you have to be smart. You have to be, at the end of the day, I am a wrestler. I'm offering services to all these major companies. So I have to make the best business decision for myself, but also you have to go, once again, you have to go kind of where you want it.
It's
You know?
You're exactly right. You're 100% right. Right now, you are, I'm pretty sure, probably the most sought after indie talent for any company that's putting
Absolutely.
on indie shows. And
Absolutely.
the way you just described it, Brutal Bob Evans just put a post out. I think it was either yesterday or today, literally about how you need to run your brand yourself as a business. It is a business. So that's fantastic. You and Brutal Bob, one and the same.
I know, right? Brittle Bob, that's a great guy. The nicest
I
man
love
in
him.
professional wrestling. You couldn't pay me $1 million to say anything negative about Brittle Bob.
Yeah, I've been talking to him for a little bit to get him on the podcast. I think it's going to happen. It's going to be a schedule issue or scheduling
Yeah. But
roadblock.
he's right. He's right. It's one of those things that kind of mind boggles me a little bit about how unrealistic a lot of these guys and girls are on the indies. You know, I don't want to be the one to tell you, no, that's not going to happen. But at the end of the day, when you have these unrealistic goals and they don't happen, unfortunately, you're the one that's going to get affected by it, right? So you gotta be realistic, especially in pro wrestling. It's harder to make it than it is the NFL, NHL, all these major sports because there's only so many spots where you can do this for a living that you're able to do this. So you just have to be really, really, really strategic and realistic as to where you think you can go and fit in.
So how do you manage unrealistic expectations? Like, how do you measure and meter yours?
That's a great question. That's probably the first time I've been asked that. Um, Really, the short answer is number one, I keep my ego in check because I feel like when you start getting too big of a head and you start getting too big of an ego, whether it's you accomplish something good or maybe you could just be maybe you're just jealous but somebody else accomplished something that you didn't, so for whatever reason you have an ego, you get insecure. I think that right there is what makes people have these unrealistic expectations because they feel like they have to prove themselves or prove other people wrong. It's not about proving other people wrong, it's about proving yourself right. And with me, I've always been realistic. Okay, I know I'm going to be the WWE champion one day, but instead of saying that I'm going to be the champion now, maybe this is a 10 to 15 year plan. You just got to be. You have to be realistic in terms of what you can accomplish. And I think that's it. I think it's just leave your ego at the door. Okay, you know. We're not all Roman Reigns yet. Okay, leave your ego at the door. Okay, don't get too big of a head and set your expectations realistic. That's the easiest way to answer that.
I've been vocal on this podcast. I've been vocal at shows. Like the ego comment, I think is incredibly, incredibly important because I've met people that have massive egos and will always treat every fan like they're better than them, whether they're at a restaurant or they're at a show.
Mm-hmm.
And it drives me absolutely nuts. Like I think it is the most stupid thing to do at any level. Any level.
Absolutely.
So have you ever had to check your own ego?
Actually, yes, and thank God I had to check my own ego very, very early on in my career. And my ego was checked by really my mentor in wrestling. He's with TNA right now. His Agent Zero, big time Bill Collier. He's a guy that I've wrestled about 20 times in my career, and I very, very remember it was the first time. Probably about 6 months in my career where I started getting a little bit big of a head, and Bill kind of sat me down and checked my ego a little bit, and but I needed that because I've never had an ego issue since then. So
Good.
luckily for me, that was very, 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 early in my career, and I just feel like I understand the whole ego thing, right? Because you got to have a little bit of an ego, and you got to be a little bit selfish in this business if you want to get to the top.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has an ego, right? But I like to say, is your ego professional, right? Can you have an ego but still be professional, right? You don't badmouth people. You don't talk over people. You can still have that ego in your head, but don't show it obviously through your words or your actions. You can have that ego in your head, but keep it in there. Don't try to force it on other people. That's where you're gonna have issues, and that's where you're gonna be people gonna you'll rub people the wrong way, or people will just look at you differently.
100%. And I see it with you at the shows. Every time you've been at 3LW, I try to make it over to you, but you are just swamped, and you're taking the time for everybody that comes up to you, everybody. And that's something that you don't see very often when somebody comes in from like NWA tier
Yep.
to these indie shows. It's amazing. I gained I mean, not that I didn't have a ton of respect before that for you, but I think that is one of the most amazing, incredible things. And it's part of what makes this business special when you become a fan of the indies is when you get interactions like that.
And you just said that right there, right? Why are the indies so popular to people, right? Because it's where the wrestlers are most readily accessible, right? Unfortunately, you can't go up and talk to Roman Reigns at a show, but you can go to an independent wrestling show and talk to all the local wrestlers, right? I think that's the most important thing. And it's the reason why I kind of fell in love with wrestling too, right? When I would go to independent wrestling shows, right? I would go and meet up all the wrestlers, whether it be the Ring of Honor or the mid 2000s. That's sometimes I didn't even really care about watching the matches because when you're 8, 9 years old, you don't understand wrestling. You just all I cared about was as soon as that intermission started, I'm gonna sprint over to the merch table and try to meet every single Ring of Honor superstar that comes out. That's what I like to do at wrestling shows.
Man, Ring of Honor was great with that. Great. Every star.
I know.
Every star. I think the only one that I ever no, I don't think there is anybody from Ring of Honor. When I was going to the ECW arena shows.
Yeah, ECW, yeah.
And I love the wrestling was top notch back then. That was to me Ring of Honor's golden age when you had Dalton Castle, you had the Briscoes. It was a phenomenal time. I got to meet Shinsuke Nakamura at one of their War of the World shows.
Wow.
And Shinsuke was, amazing. He talked to everybody. So, oh man, I got goosebumps just thinking. Like the Ring of Honor shows were incredible. Oh my God.
Yeah, there's a funny story. You won't believe it, but that's the Ring of Honor is where I met, probably you know him too, the crazy fan, Terry,
Oh yeah.
the streamer guy. I think he came to the one Harrisburg show.
Yeah, I know Terry.
I've known Terry since what? Probably about 2006. Because I would ride with him and his mom to some Ring of Honor shows. And then I'm going on a tangent, but my grandma was a huge indie fan. She would drive out from Pittsburgh, pick me up where I lived in Harrisburg. We would go to Baltimore. They were in Baltimore, Philly, New Jersey, or the Hammerstein Ballroom. That's where Ring of Honor would run a lot, right? So
Yep.
us Northeast guys, it's so readily accessible, right? Every month you're going to a Ring of Honor show, but it's just that was pro wrestling, right? Competitive wrestling where every match was more 20 minutes or more. That's why I loved it.
Oh my God, Ring of Honor in those days was just incredible, man. I like as much as I'm glad that Khan and AEW like purchased Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
but it's just not the same. No. It's just and I don't think that's any. I'm not trying to discredit Tony Khan or AEW, but especially at the ECW arena, there is just something about being at a show there. It is like it's like our Mecca as opposed to MSG.
I know.
Oh my God.
That's how I fell in love with wrestling. I mean, that's really where I got so obsessed with wrestling. I mean, yeah, I would watch wrestling every Monday and every Friday night SmackDown, but it was going to those Ring of Honor shows, man. That's really where I fell in love with pro wrestling.
There's just something about those independent shows.
Yep.
I love them. And don't get me wrong, my girlfriend and I, we will go to if WWE is within a maybe like 100, 150, maybe 200 mile radius.
You'll go, yep.
We go. We go to every Hershey show. We're always like first 3 rows. We go to every Philly show, SummerSlam, Mania. I will never not support WWE, but I desperately want to get her to she's been to 3LW. We go every month, but I want to get her to a show at the arena. She mentioned possibly wanting to try CZW, and I was like, I don't know if you're ready for CZW, but it is, man. It's just, it's electrifying. And that's what I want people to understand that aren't fans, because, somebody my age, let alone somebody who's a performer. We get looked at like, why? What is it about it? And I'm like, what isn't it about it?
100%. Yeah, and I think what the Ring of Honor shows, right? The Ring of Honor shows, in my opinion, were the equivalent of going to like a rock star concert, or going to like a heavy metal concert, or whatever you would equate that to, just like a concert in general. Not the ones at the huge major arenas where they're like so like they're what's the word I'm looking for? There's too many people, or it's just like it's too big on the stage where you can't really hear the music. It's too
Yeah.
grandiose. I like the ones that are like in like a small 1,000 seat place or smaller, where you're in, everything's so loud, you feel like you're just losing your hearing, but it's gritty, and there's that like that's what Ring of Honor was. That gritty, that dark, smoky, gritty.
was.
That the vibe, but the vibe of that's what really is the best. That's what normal people miss out on. They don't get to experience that kind of environment.
And yeah, they don't. I mean, yeah, I still consider, Northeast, East Coast, the best area for wrestling. It's the best.
100%, yeah.
Because we've got, I mean, like you said, everything's so accessible. We can do Philly, Jersey, Maryland, New York. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, 100%. It's the and also too the Northeast. I tell all these indie guys too. The Northeast is the hotbed for independent wrestling, man. If you're an independent wrestler in the Northeast, you have no reason not to be busy, not to be building your name up. For all the way you go from Ohio all the way down to Maryland, all the way up north, every single state that takes you up to Maine. There's so many shows and promotions. It's your option, it's your responsibility to make it happen. But the Northeast is the hotbed for indie wrestling.
Oh, it absolutely is. Have you ever felt like hanging it up? Ever?
No, I have not.
Good. I love it. I love it.
Even during COVID, right? When you weren't wrestling for 6 months straight, right? Because I know in PA, I think I have them on my posters here, but I think our first show that we ever did post COVID wasn't until July of 2020. But you could only do them outdoors because of the PA State Athletic Commission regulations, and you can only have 20% capacity. So I would say probably for about 3 to 4 months, it was hard being a pro wrestler because you're not having matches in front of people. So I kind of just was in the ring every single day training because that was my fix. That was like my high. I had to get my pro wrestling high, if that makes sense.
You're not the first guest to talk about pro wrestling high. I promise you. I get it. And the COVID era fucking sucks. Yeah. It sucked. I mean, as a fan, right? Like I would watch WWE called it the Thunderdome or something.
Thunderdome, yeah.
Yeah. And I would tune in and I'd just be like,
it's not the same without fans showing reactions.
It's not. It is 100% not the same. And it's not like the old days where you had the Mankind and the Rock's empty arena match during the Super Bowl, right?
Yep.
There were no fans there, but that was the whole gimmick. They had access to the whole arena, and that was awesome. But there's just something about not hearing the crowd reaction, not seeing, because for people that don't really watch, I've always said pro wrestling's art. It's theater. It is live entertainment. It is an art form. And when you have those crowds, whether it's 5 people or 70,000 at, Wells or Lincoln Financial.
Yeah. Yep.
The talent really learns and understands how to play to that crowd, no matter how big or small that crowd is.
Yeah, 100%. You said that right there. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's 5 people or 70,000 people; they're going to react the same way, and it's a wrestling ring, right? I mean, I've done shows in front of. When I started, I've done shows in front of like 27 people. It doesn't matter how many people are there, man. You got to go out there and do your thing. It's still a wrestling ring.
So, how long did it take you? And the answer might be not long at all. But how long did it take you to really get the grip on ring psychology and crowd psychology?
Yeah, I would. Most wrestlers would lie and say, "Oh, it happened my first year," right? But I'm actually gonna say probably for me, it probably happened. So I've been wrestling for 6 years now, right? And finally after 6 years, I can finally do this for a living with NWA, right? So it took me 6 years to get to this point, but it took me about 5 years to finally answer your question. It took me 5 years to finally understand the psychology thing with wrestling, because you think you know it, but then when you watch a match back, or you talk to other wrestlers, they don't really know what they're talking about. So you think you don't know what you're talking about because they don't know what they're talking about, but we're all still green in this shit anyways. But I would I would say probably about 3.5 to 4 years in, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm pretty good at this. I understand this. But psychology wise, it wasn't until I got to wrestle Shelton Benjamin at that Northeast Wrestling show
Yes.
back in July. I remember leaving that match like, okay, now I understand. Now I understand how to go about this, really. How to go about this, not from like the super indie level of having a good match in any crowd, but how to go about this at the highest level. Like how to have how to have like professional psychology that the top guys have, and who to learn better from Shelton Benjamin.
Oh,
So
Shelton's a monster.
yeah,
Always
so
has
that's
been. He is. Oh my God.
yep, and that's the moment I realized, that okay, this is how this shit's supposed to be done. Is after wrestling him.
Is he your favorite opponent?
Yeah, I would have to say up to date. He was my, because it was a dream match of mine that I had never in a million years ever thought that I would ever get. Right. I
That's
mean, I
awesome.
watched him, Team Angle, and then he really really does any indies. So it was like when it got announced, I was like, holy shit, man, this is the time to step up, and this is what I live for, man. When you're an upcomer, man, you live for matches like that.
Man, that was a good match. That was a great match.
Yeah, that
I,
was.
what possesses you? Like I know I saw your post a little bit ago when you re-signed with the NWA that you were
Uh-huh.
extremely excited and proud that you could do this full time.
Hmm.
That's a hard decision to make. That's a
Absolutely.
really hard decision to make. And we'll take the offer you couldn't refuse out of it.
Absolutely.
You've been doing this for 6 years.
Hmm.
Making it to this level in 6 years is, for those that don't really watch pro wrestling, it's virtually unheard of. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you look at, I had Bill Bain on the podcast. I love Bill. He's amazing. 23 years, and I don't think he's ever had that point.
Hmm.
Deserve it? Oh, 100%. Bill's so much fun to be around and watch. So taking the offer out of it, what made you decide, yes, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this full time. The time is now.
Yeah. I would say number one, um, it fits my personal, it fits my, it fits my grand plan of getting to the very top of the business. I know that might sound basic, but that's really
No.
the answer. It's, I try to equate it to being a professional baseball player. You got your single A, double A, triple A majors, right? And then you have your draft. Well, we don't have a draft, right? So there's a process. So I'm thinking about what is that destined end goal in my head, right? Main event in WrestleMania, be the WWE champion, right?
Oh,
It just goes back to what I told you earlier. You gotta start and be realistic and have like those short term goals. So really take the offer out of it. NWA, regardless if I was signed or not or offered a deal, it was a short term goal to get me to the eventual long term goal.
perfect. And that's like a really good equation to, non-pro wrestling too. Everybody
You got
starts
to
out with that.
advance. You got to go to bigger platforms. That's all.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, anytime that once I gained a hell of a lot of maturity and life experience, I started realizing, like, when I was a business owner, I'd set my goal, I want to make $1 million, whatever. And then I'd just break it the fuck down. I would be, okay, that's X amount for every 12, for every month, X amount for every week, X amount for every day. And then these are the revenue generating activities I got to do to get there. It's the same with every other goal. And I think that a lot of people, when it comes to the really big, lofty goals, really have that apprehensiveness of shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever get there. I don't know if I'll be able to get my
Oh.
doctorate. I don't know if I'll be able to do this. So hearing you saying basically, fuck that, I'm going to do it. There is no in between. I'm going to do it. This is how I'm going to do it. And you did it.
And
Or
you only
slash
that's the
doing
thing
it.
about the thing about pro wrestling too, right? People forget about that. You only have a small window of your in-ring career, right? I mean, I could be dropped on my neck tomorrow and be paralyzed. I could never ever be able to do this ever again in my life. All right.
Yeah.
So you have this small window to where you have to make something happen, and you have to take the opportunities that you get and also celebrate those personal wins. When you do get that accomplishment, celebrate that. Whether it's sitting in your car or just thinking about that great match you just had or this or that. But you got to take those times to enjoy your own process. Because if you don't enjoy your own process, you're not going to enjoy the process of getting to where you want to get to eventually.
Ooh, well played. Well played. Okay, so along those lines, outside of the Shelton Benjamin match, what part of the process, what part of your journey so far has been your favorite?
Probably that's I'm probably gonna summarize this. I would say in the journey of just becoming a name, right? I would say that's my favorite part because you're starting from scratch. Nobody knows who you are, right? And rightfully so. Nobody knows who anybody is when they start. And just slowly grinding on the indies, just every single weekend in a car, in an airport, on the road, just grinding and grinding and grinding and just grinding. That process of just of just telling yourself, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna be a name. Somebody's gonna know who I am one of these days. I think that's just overall is my favorite part of the process. Because on the indies, right, a lot of times, it's show after show, promotion after promotion, right? Like me personally, I typically am not factored in major storylines because I'm not, no disrespect, but I'm not like a local guy, right, who's there every single month. So for me, I don't really have a chance to experience a storyline or experience a process of developing a cool storyline with another wrestler, right? I have a better chance of doing that now in the NWA, but it just like in the grand scheme of things, just the process of becoming a name. I think that is just number one, it's exactly what I thought it would be. And number two, I just love, man, just the process of just grinding to try to get to where you want to go, man. There's nothing like it. Because if you don't enjoy the grind, you're just never gonna get like you can't enjoy the end result. You have to enjoy everything that gets to it.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Oh my God, do I get that?
Because in the indies, unfortunately, and I see it all the time, and it's not my place to tell people, but a lot of guys will stay complacent, or girls, they'll stay complacent and they'll only work one promotion, or maybe they'll get lucky and get a second booking, or they'll just stay within like a 2 or 3 hour radius. If you want to be a local wrestler and just have a regular normal job and just wrestle on the weekends, that's perfectly fine. That you by all means do that. But if you want to do this shit for a living, holy shit, this has to be your life. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh man, I get it. I mean, I get, like I said, I've 6 years from first starting to being at what I consider right at the cusp of the top of the NWA.
Yep.
That's a short time. I'm
Yeah.
impressed.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't even realize it was 6 years now that that I've been wrestling. But I think it's just number one. It's just number one. I always stayed ready. I always stayed in the bubble. Don't ever, like they say, don't ever let people see you, off your game or out of sight, out of mind, right? Pro wrestling, you have to be on point 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
There's no off season. You don't get a chance to say, oh, I'm going to take a break. No, you don't get to do that in pro wrestling. You have to be every single weekend. You have to be on top of your game.
100%. So on those lines, so I want you don't have to tell us which match it was, but I want you to think about the worst match you feel you ever had. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
What did that do to your mentality? And how did you feel?
Worst match. Yeah, number one, I would say probably my worst match was definitely probably one of the practice matches I had before I actually debuted, right? Because you think you know what you're doing, but you don't know what you're doing. And number one, it definitely humbled my ego, right? It definitely told me that you are not ready to be the wrestler that you think you are in your head. And it was a blessing in disguise because once again, it just gets you to realize that you're if you come to the realization of realizing that you know I always have to get better, never get complacent. That's exactly the right mindset you have to have. And once again, I'm glad that it happened to me so early on. I'm glad they have not been able to have any you know, bad matches since then because I'm trying to put on the best performance I can for the fans. Fans are paying money to come watch us wrestle when they might not have a lot of money to spend on anything else, but they're going to spend it on a wrestling show, on me. I take that to heart. So I want to give the fans the best performance that I can give them.
And that is why you are at the level that you are 100%, because I see it in every match with you.
Yeah.
There is no half speed. It's
No, and I'm glad that I got to wrestle that young kid at the Harrisburg show. That
Naeem.
Naeem, yeah,
That was
yeah,
no bullshit. Not kissing your ass just because you're a guest on the show.
right.
That was probably the best match of last year that I have seen in person. Period.
Wow.
You guys,
That means a lot coming from a smart fan like you who watches a lot. That means a lot. And I'm so glad because he's another one of these upcoming guys I have high hopes for, man. I think he can really be something,
I think we've mentioned him on every episode so far. Like Naeem is he's so good. I had this discussion with Chris O'Mealy, the commentator for 3LW.
Yep.
And we went to an SWO show where Naeem was trying to work heel. And when Chris told me that Naeem is trying to be a heel in that promotion, I said, there's no way. It's not going to work. And he goes, well, why do you think? I said, Naeem's too good to be a heel right now at an indie promotion level as like SWO, 3LW. The fans see the talent in this kid.
Yep.
And they know like his talent's so good. And at the indie level, when you have like standout talent,
yeah,
it's going to be almost impossible to become a heel. Impossible.
Yeah.
And you guys, I mean, it was two baby faces at the Zembo show with you and Naeem, and it was amazing. It was, oh my God, I love that match. Love that.
Yeah, that was one of my most favorite ones this year because it's one of those things where like once again going back to wrestling, I don't want to peel the curtain too much, but it's like the Shawn Michaels analogy. You have to have a great match with everybody. You have to if you have a match with a broomstick, you have to have a great match. I don't care if I'm wrestling another name or another contracted talent, or I'm wrestling an upcoming wrestler like Naeem. You have to go out there and have a great match with everybody because guess what? That's what the guys at the top of the business have already done years ago. So,
yeah. Oh my God, yeah. And that's you said the broomstick analogy, and all I can think of is when Kenny Omega wrestled the Blow Up Doll in New Japan. Kenny, oh man,
100%.
So, do you ever get hit with imposter syndrome?
That's a good question.
You seem pretty confident to where it's like no, I know I'm going exactly where I need to go and deserve to go.
Yeah, the only it's funny you brought this up because I don't think I've ever talked about this because the first time I've been asked this, but I haven't got imposter syndrome, and I think I'm gonna get it when I'm a lot older, and here's why. Because number one, I know that When I'm 90 years old, I'm not going to look physically like I am now, right? So I'm sure when I'm 90 years old and I'm still watching wrestling on TV, I'm going to look at an old picture of myself and be like, God damn it, I wish I still looked like that, right? Physically, right? And also, too, I understand, too, that when you take care of your body, as you age and get older, right? If you take care of your body right, you can usually outperform yourself when you're 20. So, I think as long as I just continue to take care of my body and do what I'm doing, I don't think that I'll ever have imposter syndrome. Or I don't think that I'll ever you know ever look back and be like, damn it, I wish I was this, or I don't think I'm going to be able to accomplish this, just because I'm just really confident in what I can do and I'm realistic about it. You know?
That's perfect. That's perfect. I've never seen anybody or had anybody, whether it was with my business podcast that I had or anybody say you think that you'd have it later in life when you look back at yourself. So that's a pretty good answer. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just because the imposter syndrome, right? That's everybody's fear. That's everybody's fear, right?
Mhm.
Where at least for me, I just understand that as long as everything is on par with me, how I look, how I treat people, how I perform in the ring, I can never have that because I'm only going to get better and get better and get better. So for me, it's gonna. I think it may happen later in life.
Hey, if it's gonna
Who
happen, that's
knows?
better
Maybe
that
it
it happens
won't.
later in life.
You
Oh,
know.
awesome.
I just did like if you don't even because that we talk a lot about like mental health and wrestling, right? Because people, you got the hateful fans. I call them the Twitter fans. You got fans that just for whatever reason they like to say negative things. And why is it that pro wrestling is the only sport in the world with the most toxic fans? No other sport
Oh,
has this. But I
oh,
think imposter syndrome and just maybe letting the opinions of some fan into you. I think that's kind of what starts imposter syndrome, or really just starts getting you into that negative mindset. Because once you get that negative mindset in pro wrestling, you go downhill pretty quick.
that's a pretty good perspective. I
Yeah,
think that is I mean, especially for I mean, indie talents. Everybody that's got a keyboard or a phone,
yeah,
they're
because
the
just
best pro
because of
wrestlers in the world. They just
yeah, just
never
because
train.
of yeah, just because of how big social media is nowadays, right? I mean, you look at every single name in wrestling or top guy or people on the come up. You got to have a good social media presence, right? And one of the pitfalls of that is you're always going to get negative comments, and you have to understand that. Don't feed the negativity. Don't even respond to these people. Don't even if you look at the message, don't even take it to heart. Okay, those people are never going to say it to your face, and they're never going to be able to do what you can do. If you just don't let the negativity get to your head like that, you'll never have any issues.
That's
But you see it all the time. You see, unfortunately, workers have mental health breaks, or they go MIA, or they just argue with a fan online. It's like,
oh yeah.
no, you know. I mean, you think that Prime Triple H or The Rock or Stone Cold, like, even though they didn't have social media, they didn't give a shit
No.
what a fan thought. They're the star. They're the ones that people are hating on because those people will never be like them. You know. So
The internet wrestling community is I said it to Jesus. I don't know what happened to WWE, but I texted him and I said, you know what I think is the absolute worst part of pro wrestling? And he goes, the fans. I said, yes, 100%. Right? It's
I know.
it blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind in this day and age. Like there's everybody's a keyboard warrior, and everybody's apparently a Hall of Famer that
Isn't it?
knows how to wrestle.
Isn't it crazy though? Right? Literally, you look at any other major sport, any other form of entertainment, there is no online fan base like pro wrestling fans. It's the only thing, unfortunately, in this world. It's the only thing where all the group of toxic people get together and give their opinion to the point where some of these people really want the people that are commenting on wrestlers not to do this anymore. Like it's that bad.
Yeah,
It's only pro wrestling. It's weird.
I always love seeing the comments that of like somebody wins the Rumble or whatever. Oh, here's a great study.
Yep.
So Gunther beats Cena. We were in Hershey the next Monday, and
That's right.
the only reason I wanted to go was to hear what that crowd would sound like when Gunther comes out. And we got there. I think we were second or third row that night, maybe fourth. I don't know. And his music hit, and the arena just drowned out the music. And it was beautiful, right? I've been there for Cody finishing the story at Mania, where 70,000 people were screaming. I was there for Rousey debuting at the Rumble in Philly after the first female Royal Rumble.
Wow.
That was an insane pop. But when Gunther came out in Hershey, it was beautiful. And it was that real, true, visceral heel heat that every heel just hopes they can someday get, right?
And you know what the beauty of that is, right? The beauty of that is that I just realized this now. Are we right? Because sometimes when I work heel, I like to get that real heel heat because number one, everybody wants to be the cool heel, right? They want to act heel, but they don't really want to get the heat that comes to being a heel, right? What has wrestling always been predicated on? The fans wanting to see the heels get kicked in the ass or stab them back in the territory days, the Cornette stories, but. And I finally figured out now. This is what it is now, right? When the internet fans complain about stuff online, or they don't like Cody or Gunther beating Cena, making them tap out, that's real heel heat because those fans are so legitimately mad at Gunther. But as a booker, that's what you want because that's heat. Everybody. Because most people aren't used to getting heel heat anymore nowadays because everybody is so nice and afraid. But little things like that, when you legitimately piss fans off and they really get mad, and then they get mad because you're doing that, that's heat. That is what gets you wanting to boo Gunther.
Oh, it was so amazing. Amazing. And one of the Facebook groups I'm in, Mania Club, we do a whole bunch of charity work with the WWE. It's 100-some thousand members strong. It's an awesome group. But it's also an opinionated group because pro wrestling, internet wrestling community.
Yep.
And I made a post about being in the arena when Gunther came out. And I said, if anybody has any wonder why they had Gunther beat Cena, you should have been in this arena tonight. Because that heat is exactly why they did it. And boom. I mean, people went off to the races. I was called an asshole. I'm always called an asshole. But people were like, oh, he doesn't deserve it. If I was booking, I would have done this. And I just said, well, did you call WWE and put in an application? Well, no.
That's my favorite thing.
Then shut up. Nobody gives a shit.
Right.
And
that's the thing.
Frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to see it now at NWA. I'll see fans comment on like Billy Corgan's booking, and like I'll even talk to Billy sometime at the tapings, just to see what a booker thinks. Right? He's like, the best line I've ever heard. He's like, are those people paying me a lot of money to book this show? No, so their opinion doesn't mean anything to me, and that's the truth. I guarantee you, Triple H. You really think Triple H has time in his day to sit and scroll and care what these fans think? If you think that you're a better booker than Billy Corgan or Triple H, then why don't you go try booking that stuff?
Yeah.
In the meantime, type all the nasty comments you want, but realize that's not going to do anything to make the show how you want the show to be. But that's, once again, that's going back to what that gets you pissed off, that gets you mad. That's part of being a heel, right? Doing stuff that you get mad at, but you're mad because you don't like when somebody actually beats a heel, but you're actually booing them because they're being a heel, right? So it's like, what is it? Do you either want somebody to be a heel or you don't?
Yeah, and before we get into the closing questions, you're absolutely right. I think you hit the nail on the head by saying, everybody wants to be the cool heel, but to a I will call myself a traditionalist. The best heels aren't cool heels.
Nope.
The best heels are the ones that, one, sell tickets because you hate them so much you just want to see them get the shit kicked out of them, and two, they make you just furious. They make you forget it's a show. That's a good true heel, and we've had so few of them in the last, God, at this point I'd say 15 years.
Yeah, I think the problem nowadays is because wrestling, everybody, because number one, people care so much about the opinions of fans, and number two, people want to chase that buzz that they're not really willing to sacrifice their ego of doing a little bit less in the ring, or look,
Yeah.
or hide all the or hide all the beautiful, glitzy, cool looking stuff, and sacrificing that for beating heel. I just feel like a lot of people just don't really want to do that nowadays. But you look at the biggest heel in the business, Gunther, right? What does he do? Traditional heel stuff.
Oh,
So
he does. His wrestling style, his in-ring style is, I mean, European strong style, which I love,
yeah,
but he even wrestles as a true heel. He's never like let's take Roman, for example, to use an example that everybody's going to know. When Roman would load up for the Superman punch or the spear, it wasn't as a heel. Even when he was a heel, quote unquote, it was like, it was okay, I'm going to do this for the fans. Right? It was like, oh, I got to do my finisher. I got to do this. Gunther doesn't wrestle like that.
no,
And that's one of the things that I really love about him is he does have that, like, that William Regal mindset of, no, I'm just going to wrestle. Like,
man.
what does he have? The sleeper hold. That's pretty much it. It's amazing. All right, Spencer, we're going to hit the closing questions. This has been fucking awesome, by the way. So, what does heat, hope, and hard times mean to you?
Heat, hope, and hard times. That means kind of like, I would say that probably means everything in my wrestling career, because that's exactly what it is. All three of those things, right? Um, and maybe even in life too, right? You might have some, heat, whether it's wrestling heat, or you're bringing the heat to somebody else, or just, something's going on in your life that maybe is not necessarily the way you want it to go. And then you're going to have your hope, right? You're going to have hopeful things. You're going to be hopeful about certain things. So I think, really, to answer your question, it's kind of my wrestling career.
That's a great answer. That is an absolutely great answer. What needs to start, stop, and change in the industry? Give me three things.
Start. Number one, first thing that needs to start is, just like I said, wrestlers need to quit taking to heart what fans think of them. I would say that. And then you said stop.
Yep, start, stop, and change.
I would say stop. Honestly, I mean, I was probably going back to just what I mentioned about, like, people need to just stop trying to be the cool heels. Wrestling has always been best when it's a baby face and a true heel.
Yeah.
When you stop being a true heel, then you have fans that like to cheer for the quote unquote baby face who's technically trying to be a heel, and you never really have a baby face versus heel match, which is what wrestling has always been sold on. And then I would say probably for change. This might rub people the wrong way, but I think for change is, you know, uh, how easy it is to get to be a wrestler nowadays. That's what needs to change. I think feels like there needs to be more protection on the kind of people that can get into wrestling. Just because you've been a fan, and you watched it, doesn't necessarily mean that you should be a wrestler. I feel like there should be a level of physical and mental fitness to do this. Because back in the day, people protected the wrestling business, and unfortunately today, anybody can be a wrestler, right? But that doesn't mean that you're going to make it. I feel like the wrestling business needs to be a little bit more protected, because a lot of people like to shit on it or say negative things. or just kind of get into it just to say they tried it versus really treating it with respect. I mean, it's a privilege to be a professional wrestler. It's not a right; it's a privilege.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
That is great. Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying. And for fans like me that have been lifelong fans, pro wrestling from a fan standpoint is something very sacred because it has that emotional impact with those of us that have watched and watch as religiously as we do. And we've all seen it. We've all seen people that you look at in the ring and you're like, oh, why are we letting this happen? I get it. That was a perfect answer. All right. Nope. Two more. Are there any rumors, narratives about you that you want to clear up?
No, I hope not. Once again,
Yeah,
I don't
you're
really
like,
pay
"Fuck, I hope
attention
not."
to what's written on me but internet. So I legitimately probably don't even know if there's anything out there. I don't know. I think people think that I might be an asshole just because of how I look and how I wrestle. But I think if you get to know me, I'm the complete opposite of that. But if you're a negative wrestling fan, you're exactly right because I am one.
There you go. There it is. All right. Last but not least, who should I have on the podcast in the future?
It can be like anybody, whether it's another wrestler I know wrestled.
Anybody.
Honestly, I think you should probably interview the guy that I mentioned earlier, Big Time Bill Collier, Agent Zero in TNA.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Because I felt like Bill's one of the best wrestlers out there. He finally got his break at TNA, and I think anybody in the Northeast knows how good Big Bill is. Dude's 45 years old and looks like Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre had a kid. That's him.
Yep. Yeah, that's
Um,
exactly what he looks like.
and I'm sure you would have a great conversation with him because he's been doing this a lot longer than I have, and much a high and been doing a lot longer. So that's probably would be my pick for that would be my recommendation that you bring him on.
I think I'm going to work on making that happen. It's funny because as soon as you said we're talking about Big Bill, I immediately thought of Raleigh and I were watching Unreal,
Yep.
and season 1 had Abyss, Joe Park,
Yep.
and I have been a diehard Abyss fan since the day I saw him in his early TNA days. Like, amazing, one
Oh,
of the best to ever do it.
I
And
know.
you want to talk about leaving it all in the ring every single match? That man left it all in the ring. I always tell the story. I was at a House of Hardcore show at the ECW arena, Tommy Dreamer's promotion,
Okay.
and it was Abyss versus Rhino in a no DQ match or no rule, whatever they called it that night. And Rhino went over, but Abyss did one of the coolest moments that I've ever seen at an indie show. Even though Abyss lost and Rhino was the hometown favorite, it was the ECW arena, it was an ECW crowd. The whole arena stood up, chanted, "Thank you, Abyss." And he just stopped before he got to the ramp and just, oh my God, thank you guys. And I was like, that's fucking awesome. That's what pro wrestling's all about. And
That's awesome, man.
I kept telling Raleigh, like we'd watch Unreal and I'm seeing, Abyss, not Abyss.
Nope.
And it's like, I'm like, oh my God, like this is just so night and day different than his TNA stuff.
Aren't you so glad that you saw? Aren't you so glad that you saw Abyss now as that person versus back then? Because if you saw Abyss, if that was who he really was back then, it would have killed his gimmick.
Oh,
He
I would
was
have
like
absolutely killed it.
almost to
Killed
the
it.
point where to a fault because he's the most badass guy on screen, but he's almost way too nice to where it wouldn't make sense for that nice guy to be that in the
Yeah.
ring. You
Yeah.
know?
And I had to do a double take when I saw him on, I mean, really both seasons, right?
Yeah.
It's, oh, yes, sir. Does that work, sir? Okay. Oh, yes, sir. We'll do that. You got it. Yeah. And I'm like, even for me, I'm like, oh my God, this is so night and day from the Abyss on screen to this. And I love it. I never
I know.
pass an opportunity to talk about Abyss. All
That's
right,
so cool.
guys, you have been absolutely awesome for tuning in. Spencer, this was to date my favorite interview I've ever done. This was so perfect. Amazing. I'm not going to have to do any editing. So thank you for that. Before we get out of here, where can you be found, Spencer?
You guys, I want to thank all the fans for joining this great podcast, and I want to thank you, Kyle, for hosting me, man. This has been incredible. There's nothing more that I enjoy versus being able to talk about myself, put myself over, which you internet fans don't like, and also talk wrestling. Because at the end of the day, what are we? We're all passionate fans. But if you want to continue following the current reigning NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion, you can follow me on Instagram at Slade Wrestling, Twitter at Slade Wrestler, Facebook under my real government name, Spencer Chisholm. Don't copy that. And then you can you can watch me on YouTube at Fear the Gear, my channel. And all my upcoming shows I post regularly. My next upcoming show would be this weekend for one of the NWA territory promotions, Joe Kazana promotion down in Tennessee. And then next weekend, I will be for a promotion in Kentucky called Kentucky Championship Wrestling, where I'm actually defending my NWA World Junior Heavyweight belt for the first time on an independent show. And then I can't remember where I'm at next week because I have to check my calendar. But hopefully, pretty soon I can come back to 3LW because that's obviously one of my most favorite promotions to work. I tell Jesus every time, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you won the lottery with this thing because it's so professionally ran. So hopefully,
And he hates taking credit. Hates it.
yeah, you know what? I wish I could be as humble as Jesus. Maybe that's something I need to work on. But
Everybody that comes on, like you have to just like totally kiss his ass when he comes on because he hates it. I was like, I know he can't stand when people compliment him. And I was like, oh, we're gonna have fun again.
yeah, Jesus is a man, and I can hopefully I can get back to 3RW for a couple more shows. Maybe hopefully I can get back to that Harrisburg show. We'll work something out, kind of see what's scheduled. But yeah, it's been an awesome being on this show, and you know me, man. I love stealing the show and talking wrestling. There's no anything else in my life I'd like to do versus just sleep, eat, and breathe professional wrestling.
God, I love it. I love it. Well, Spencer, thank you very much to our fans out there. Remember, you can find us on YouTube now because I'm recording the videos. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, fucking pretty much everywhere else you guys can find me at.
Whatever the heck they created next.
Exactly. I'm not on Threads. I've given up on Threads and Twitter. It's cesspool.
Yeah, that's too much.
It is. It absolutely is. All right, guys. Thank you. Tune in next time. And please, if you have not gotten the chance to see him in person, go find Spencer Slade because you will be impressed. See you guys.